Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Meeting with the Manager. I'm excited to welcome as my guest in this month's show our great Mayor, Marion McClellan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
And you often don't get to see our communications director because she is oftentimes behind the scenes, but I would like to welcome Jocelyn Davis to our show this month as well. And as always, I will be speaking with our Director of Public Safety, Steve Cooper, later on in the show. So, with that said, welcome to the show, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to start out, it's people see you on television, they see you at council meetings in a formal capacity, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this month's show talking about you. And first question I'd like to ask is, why did you decide to reside in the city of Oak Park all these years?
Oak Park is the best city around. It is known in the area for innovation. It is known for its passionately wonderful residents. The homes themselves are tremendous quality. You don't find consistent high quality homes like that anywhere else.
Yeah.
And we were thrilled with the house. The house was the same house that was elsewhere, $30,000 more, and it was in a beautiful neighborhood with wonderful neighbors. We couldn't have wished for anything more.
Yeah, I think that's well said, and it's oftentimes that people forget that Oak Park has a very central location in the metropolitan area with access to all points, so we definitely have that advantage. So we've done so much, and I know that I've been here for just over 2 years as the city manager, and you've been in office for about 3 years now, elected in 2011. It feels like 20 years. It's been so many things in the last just few years alone. What are some of the biggest accomplishments since you've been mayor?
Well, when I came in as mayor, we were in desperate financial straits. We were on the watch list for an emergency manager. We had to make severe cuts as soon as I walked in the door. It was fairly horrifying. And it's hard to believe that in such a short time, we have done such a turnaround. It has been so impressive at a dizzying speed. I'm not sure if the residents realize these kinds of things that have happened because they're not visible. But we've saved money on health care, huge money, $2 million a year, mind-boggling things by combining healthcare plans into one, changing our healthcare provider. Money that had been previously wasted could now be spent on public safety officers.
Absolutely.
We've refinanced bonds. We're planning on doing that again on our street bonds coming up. It is dizzying how much has been done. We are so much more efficient. We have a wonderful computer plan now. We had been with ancient DOS-based software that everyone was just shaking their head about, putting Band-Aids on. Now, with the new computers, we are more efficient. We can better serve our residents. It's almost hard to list all of the things that have happened because you have done so much.
Well, I appreciate that.
To bring our city into this millennium.
Well, and I would concur with that. It has been a tremendous bucket list of things that we've sort of gone through. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is that, of course, I don't operate in a vacuum. I have to operate with the consent of the mayor and city council. And I can only imagine what this looks like on the elected official side, which is you're just being given all of these opportunities. And I very much appreciate the support that I've received as the city manager of this community in implementing some of these initiatives. It's made a tremendous difference. And I think, as you say, that really our residents don't see a lot of what happens. And I think I would relate that to we had to get our feet underneath us before we could sort of shove off and move in a new direction. And as we get into the new year, we're going to see a tremendous amount of economic development initiatives take place. And so that's a great segue into my next question for you. And I like to plan out, within a 5 to 10 year time frame because, people often say, well, what's it going to be like in 50 years, or what's it going to be like in 20 years? Well, what do you think the city is going to be like, and what do you expect to see in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, because of our wonderful communications director, our communications have quadrupled. My bucket list times 5 has already happened. We would love to see economic development in the city of Oak Park. We've been kind of stagnant, and now we are surging ahead. So I'm thinking there is senior housing. Seniors want to age in place. We want to be able to go to a condo right in our area where we can go shopping, where we can get groceries and drugstores and nice restaurants and beautiful shops right within walking distance. I want to see that on 9 and Coolidge. I want to be able to come out of my beautiful condo, go shopping in an area that has attractive shops. I want to have a restaurant. I can picture sitting outside in a patio with lights sparkling and flowers blooming and having a glass of wine with a friend, right in the city of Oak Park, where Oak Park is known for its innovation and its vibrancy once again.
Yeah.
And I think this dream is on its way to becoming a reality.
No question. Yeah, and one of the things that you talk about oftentimes, even before I came here, and that is, our streets going on what's called a street diet, and that's acclimating our community to more of a pedestrian orientation. Right. That hopefully in the near future we can look to walk out of your condo, as you say, and visit these shops and restaurants and things. We do have some of those initiatives that are going to come out into the public here in the new year. With the consent of council, we'll be pushing some of those things. But what we've seen from a taxable value perspective is our residential neighborhoods have been pretty strong, and our commercial taxable values have dragged behind a little bit. So we're going to see improvements in that area, and hopefully that will lessen the burden on our residential taxable values and our residential revenues, so we can look at other things at that point. So now I'm curious, what is your greatest personal achievement here?
Personally, I had been speech phobic for an entire lifetime. In high school, I was the kid whose paper was shaking when I was talking, and I successfully avoided public speaking throughout my whole life until, of course, I ran for mayor. And then I had to face this fear head on. And last month, I was invited to speak at Wayne State's graduation, and I was standing up there in my hat and gown, looking out at 500 graduates and faculty and parents. And the triumph was, I wasn't thinking about me, I was thinking about them and how I could mentor them and what I could tell them that would make a difference in their lives. So that felt like my own personal graduation.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's something very empowering about overcoming some of those kinds of fears. I know I've been in that situation myself. I want to thank you for your time on this month's show, and I look forward to inviting you back.
Thank you. I'd be delighted to come.
Thank you so much. I now have the distinct honor of welcoming in our communications director, Jocelyn Davis. Welcome, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much.
It's great to have you. Of course, you're behind the scenes usually with these shows. It's great to have you on set this time.
Thank you.
Well, so much has changed with our communications function, and you've been responsible for so many of these changes, and I know a lot of our residents are very grateful for that. What are some of those changes that have taken place?
Well, first of all, we have a great crew, as you well know. We have a wonderful crew, cable and graphic art, and together we have actually come up with several things to make sure we're communicating efficiently and effectively with residents. We have about 13 different ways to communicate now. When 2 years ago, we only had a couple of ways. Of course, there was the Oak Park Report, which really many will remember as the newsletter for the city. We've had the website, and we had our cable station. Now we've found that there are other ways to have live communication so that we are almost in real time talking with our residents. Our branch newsletter now comes out every 2 months. It is delivered to every household and every mailbox, actually, in the 48237 zip code. We have our electronic billboards now with this new one. Once we have put the new complex here in place, we have a new one here at Coolidge and Oak Park Boulevard, as well as the one at 9 Mile Road and Coolidge. We have lots of electronic communication that we're now using, from our Facebook page, our Twitter page. We have an Instagram account and YouTube. Anyone can actually sign up for that, and we hope they do. Like us at Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We also have the Ustream, which is ustream.com. Our residents and anyone actually in the world can go to ustream.com during our council meetings and actually watch it live stream, or they can pull up archived shows and watch them. So that's actually expanded a lot for us.
That's fantastic. And I wanted you to talk a little bit, we talk oftentimes about the external communication function of the city, but you've done quite a bit on the internal communication side, so talk a little bit about that as well.
Sure. One of your directives to us was to make sure that we were connecting with all of our stakeholder groups. And of course, a very large stakeholder group, in addition to the residents, is this internal staff, so that we're all on the same page. So we've done a couple of things. One thing is the creation of a newsletter that's internal. It's called The Roots, in keeping with our theme on Oak Park and the oak tree. And it comes out monthly. And what it does is it allows our employees to actually hear from HR, from you, of course, the city manager's office, on news and information they need. That's just one of many things.
And I know that it's made a tremendous difference, and it's connected our employees in ways that we haven't previously done. The other thing that we've talked a little bit about, and I wanted to get your input on internal intranet, and we've talked about the ways of communicating to share information internally, and this is something that, of course, we will look at as the months wear on here. Yes. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about your plan for responding to the Great Flood of August 11th.
Yes.
So much of that was minute to minute, and I want you to talk a little bit about how you came to all of these recommendations that we eventually took on.
Sure. Well, first of all of it was at your direction, which I think everybody needs to understand. And we're not working in a vacuum. The city manager had a vision of making sure that we had a connection with everyone. So we sort of created the the engine while the plane was in flight.
Yeah.
With this, which was okay. We created a protocol now. So we have expanded to use what we call community e-blasts. And they go out to residents who have subscribed. Actually, anyone in the world, of course, they're all designed for our residents, but anyone in the world can actually sign up for e-blasts from Oak Park. We sent out over 50 of them during the floods to inform people about what was happening with the SBA, Small Business Administration, or FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, about filing a claim, tips on how to take care of post-flood problems in the home. And there were several of them. We attached video messages from the city manager, and even one, I believe there was just one, maybe even two, with the city manager, the mayor, and also Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah.
And they were terrific. We got a lot of response from residents saying this is exactly what I needed, was to hear from the city. I should also add that one thing we added at the very end of the flood in communications was robocalling.
Yeah.
That was brand new to the city. When 2 years ago, when we talked about what we wanted to do to make sure we connected with everyone, we had residents come to the council meeting and actually tell us, I need to be informed, but I don't have email, and I don't have access to anything electronic, so I can't look at the website, none of that. So we said, well, we know we have to have paper communication, which is why we stepped up the branch, and it comes out every 2 months. But on top of that, during the flood, we found that, well, if they're not getting paper, which just doesn't come fast enough, and they're not doing electronic, the phone is the way to go.
Definitely.
And that was your recommendation. So from there, we actually created a robocalling process so that those folks who actually have a registered phone number will get a call with a recorded message from the city manager or from the mayor giving a message. What we do want to emphasize, though, is that if you do not have a registered phone number, as in it's not listed, you actually have to give us that number.
Yeah.
And cell phone numbers are not part of that. So anyone who would like to get a message from a city manager or the mayor during an emergency on the cell phone has to actually give us a call, leave that number on voicemail, or send an email with the telephone number and say robocall request. And I believe, of course, that will be showing on the bottom of the screen here.
Sure. So anybody with email, who's using email, who isn't currently signed up for our email blast needs to send an email to your attention.
Definitely. We're getting good feedback that people really enjoy receiving those monthly emails. They actually come twice a month. They're called community e-blasts, and they have a message from the mayor in them twice a month. And then anytime we have an emergency or something we need to communicate right away, in between those, we actually might send out another one.
So we've had a pretty mild winter thus far, but if we were to call a snow emergency, Walk me through some of the steps that you would take.
Sure. First of all, we're starting out with our January-February branch that will include a map to show where emergency parking is. So that's our first go-to is always our newsletter. But in cases where we actually need to get information out right away, we always have things listed on television and radio. So those are, and we'll put that also at the bottom of the screen here, where you can see a broadcast on television and radio. But our cable station, channels 15 and 16 on Comcast, they will show broadcasts. We'll actually also have bulletins on the website. But the e-blast is going to be key. Folks need to sign up for that, for the community e-blast, so that they can actually receive messages in real time. We'll have Facebook messages, we'll have Twitter messages, and any videos that we put together will be on YouTube as well as Ustream. And if we can, if there's not a power outage, which we hope not, we actually would be able to run something on our electronic billboards. But because of the way we're set up, we can actually post things on our Facebook, our community e-blast, even if we don't have power.
Right.
So if people can look at it on their smartphones and see those messages, that's the way to go.
Okay. And we've accomplished so much. We've firmed up our communication strategy. Where do you see our communications function going in the future?
That's a fine question. Our new directive from the city manager's office is to get our website in order, which we are very excited to do. That is actually, in my opinion, that is the face. Most people will start with a website if they're interested in thinking about living here or starting a business in Oak Park or just want general information. The first place I think most people go in the 21st century is a website. Yeah. So I'm very happy that under your direction we're actually going to go forward in the spring and revamp our entire website so that it becomes more interactive for our residents and it also becomes more navigable. We need to be able to navigate it a little better than what it has been in the past. So we see that. Also, we're always looking for new ways to communicate and better ways, which is how robocalling came to be for us. So as we find new ways, we're going to make sure we do that. I'm actually also the staff liaison for the Communications Commission, and appointed, of course, by City Council, and they're very interested in making sure that we have effective and efficient communication, and they have some great ideas.
You know, and working with the Emergency Services Commission on some of those communication channels as well.
Yes, we will be.
It's very exciting.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me on this month's show, and I look forward to having you in the future.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I now have the pleasure of welcoming in our Director of Public Safety, Steve Cooper, as always. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
This is an old hat for you. I appreciate your participation every month. I wanted to ask you a few questions regarding some of the trends that, of course, now we're in the holiday season and the winter months. If you could talk a little bit to some of the things our residents should be aware of as the winter months are upon us.
Right. One of the more important things that I wanted to speak about was that since the holiday season is upon us, and you'll have a lot of opportunities for some of the undesirables to come out and actually victimize our residents. And with people shopping in the malls and throughout the various locations in Oak Park, we want them to be extra cautious as far as securing bags, how they enter and exit their vehicles. Take every opportunity to use every safety precaution and not get a false sense of security during daylight hours. I think that's one of the big misconceptions that people have or are under, that the crime only occurs during the evening or dark or under the cover of darkness, but that's not true. We've actually beefed up our patrols around our shopping plazas to help prevent some of this. But for the people who are in the holiday spirits, we want them to actually, just pay a little extra attention to their surroundings, make sure that they're not carrying excessive bags. If they're carrying purses or things that contain valuables, make sure when they put them in the car that they're actually putting them either in the trunk, or if they're driving an SUV, under the cargo carriers where they are not easily visible. So that's definitely one of the bigger things that we're concerned about with the winter season upon us and the holiday season here.
So if people see things that might be out of the ordinary or that don't look right, they should do what?
We cannot say this enough. Please call us, call us, call us, call us. A lot of our residents and the citizens, sometimes they feel that they are an interruption to our day, and actually I've said it many times, they're not an interruption to what we do, they're the reason for it. and we definitely want them to contact public safety. If something does not quite look right, then 9 times out of 10 it's probably not. And if it turns out to be nothing, then no harm, no foul. We're more than happy to come out and pleasantly speak with our residents and citizens to see exactly what's going on. And if what's occurring is totally innocent, then that should give our residents and actually the person who we've engaged a stronger sense of security as it relates to the public safety services that they're receiving.
Absolutely. And I wanted to mention one thing too, is that we are now, a lot of people don't know this about us, but we're now in a hiring mode in our public safety department. We're replacing some of those positions that were lost in the early 2012 cutbacks. And so we're beefing up our department a little bit more from a personnel perspective. But what not a lot of people realize is that we also have a brand new public safety facility. And there is a separation in terms of the entrances between the City Hall side and the public safety side. So could you talk a little bit about that and clarify, if people need services and they're here in person, what they do?
Absolutely, and as you just stated, the City Hall and the Public Safety Building are connected, but they're two separate entities. To the east is the Public Safety Building, and you can see there's large letters that sit way above our building that says the Glenn Leonard Public Safety Building. And also some of our residents and citizens still aren't quite familiar with the public safety concept. Yeah. So we took the extra measure to place some lettering to the side of the building which states police and fire to make it easier for our residents to locate the specific department that they're looking for. Like I said, our public safety department is beautiful. Our officers love and enjoy coming to work in such a new and nice facility. So we definitely, want to encourage our residents to pay attention to the signage and, definitely come in and visit us for whatever needs they may have. And you also stated as far as a hiring process, we are in the middle of a hiring process and we're working very hard to fill some of the vacancies that we have. In this day and age, it's very challenging because you have a lot of departments that are actually out there hiring. And what some of our residents and some of the applicants find out once they fill out their application is that when you hire on with the public safety department, you're doing both police, fire, and then you do also medical first responder services. So that kind of catches some people off guard. And like you said, we are actually right dab in the middle of a process now, and we're working very hard to fill those positions. Like I said, we have a very eclectic community, a very diverse community, and we're working very hard to diversify our department to make it more reflective of the community. And those efforts can be challenging as well, but we've taken extra steps to make sure that we're trying to capture all of those candidates. I personally attended some minority recruiting affairs. We hit all of the police and fire academies. Word of mouth. We advertise in the papers, the Chronicle, the Detroit News. So we're doing a lot of things as well to attract as many applicants and a diverse pool as possible, and we'll continue to do that.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've, coming in as city manager in 2012, that I was most happy with as I did an analysis of this city government was that how engaged our public safety officers are in the community in terms of block club meetings, community appointments, those kinds of things. So could you talk a little bit about what we do to stay engaged so that we're on top of concerns much before some of them may happen?
Right, and that's one of my favorite topics actually, as far as the community policing. Since I was appointed the Director of Public Safety in 2012, that's been basically my pulpit that I've been standing on. I believe 100% that you have to get out, you have to engage the community, and it starts from the top down. I'm the leader of the organization, and I'm definitely trying to lead by example. I attend the block club meetings, school events. We have a very strong relationship with the Oak Park School District. Dr. Davita Colbert, who's the superintendent, I speak with her probably at least 3 times a week on how we can strengthen our relationship. We have a community resource officer that puts on various programs for our K through 12 programs over at the schools. And one of the things that we participated or that we did this past summer that was just a beautiful event our community resource officer set up a citywide block club picnic. So all of the block clubs in the city of Oak Park, this was back in July, met in Shepherd Park, and we had a big family style picnic. All of our public safety officers who were on duty and a lot who were off duty came in to participate. And it was just a very nice and relaxing time. We got to interact and mingle with the community just you know, on a nice social level. We were able to play horseshoes, talk to them about different concerns that they may have had, and you know, share a lot of delicious food, and it was just a great time. I am going to continue to do those types of things, and one of the things that I'm looking forward to this spring, I don't have all the details worked out, but I want to have some type of open house at our public safety department where we can invite the public in, see our new facility, maybe have some popcorn, hot dogs, a little face painting or something for some of our younger youth to come in and continue to foster those positive relationships with the public safety department, because you know, that's definitely where we have to continue to center our focus. I've also had an opportunity to meet with some of our faith-based leaders in the community and strengthen those relationships. And it's just been, like I said, it's been a wonderful 3 years here as the director of the Public Safety Department. So I look forward to continuing those efforts, and we're always looking for new ways and new ideas to engage the community.
Well, I appreciate that, and you know, for all of those reasons and many more, of course, you definitely have my stamp of approval for some of the amazing things that you've achieved here in just a short period of time as the director, and hopefully many more to come. So I want to thank you for joining me this month, as you always do, and we'll see you again next month.
Thank you, sir.
I want to thank you for joining me on this month's show, and I want to wish all of you a safe and happy holiday season and a happy new year. In the year to come, the City of Oak Park will undertake many new initiatives. As was mentioned earlier in the show, we will be seeing many new economic development initiatives, and we will continue to firm up our operation. That will include adding some additional officers to our public safety ranks, as well as beefing up our code enforcement efforts. So many of you have been patient with us over the last few years as we have right-sized city government. The good news is that we are on a positive trajectory, and that trajectory will continue in the year to come. Thank you again, and have a safe and happy holiday.